There we go. We're live, right? This thing's on. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh, wait, that's not how this stuff works. Yeah, we're live. Hey,
All
how
right.
goes it? Ken Bozak here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm with my bro, Amateo Ra from ethos. What was that? .io and investvoyager.com. Confused me because one's .io, one's .com. How goes it, bro?
It goes great, my man. I'm so happy to be here and been following you in the podcast for quite some time, so it's a treat, my man.
Appreciate the support. Appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Maybe let them know a little bit about yourself. Maybe who you are, kind of like how you got into crypto and what that
Sure.
led you to with Ethos and Invest Voyager.
Yeah, so that's great. Um, I'm by some standards late to the crypto party. So like I'm not someone who's like, I was here since the beginning. Like,
If
no,
you're
I
here
can't
today,
tout that.
you're still pretty fucking early. So
That's true.
welcome
That's
to the
true.
party.
Thank you. Cheers. So yeah, I started to really get fascinated about it in early 2017. Although I had a friend who I got together with, I want to say it was New Year's Eve 2015. I
Okay.
was actually hanging out at his house in LA, and I was like, like he has this beautiful pad, and he spends his whole life just being an artist, like traveling the world, dancing and doing music and
Oh,
creating
that's sick.
videos, just cool stuff. And he's into permaculture. And so I was hanging out at his house. It just ended up got invited to a New Year's party. Didn't know it was him. He's a longtime friend of mine. It's like, what are you doing for work, man? He's like, oh, I retired off of Bitcoin. And I was like, what do you mean you fucking retired off of Bitcoin?
Right, right. What the fuck does that even mean?
It's like, what are you talking about? He's
So
really
you're homeless? Is that what you're
that's
saying?
right. But at the same time, I'm looking around at his like dope crib in the heart of LA, and I'm like, okay, so I'm a little confused here. So I was like, so he gave me a little bit of information, but that was one of, everyone has that blip moment where someone uh, gave them the golden key that they didn't unlock the door with, and that was definitely mine. And then years later, I started to get really fascinated by it, and at the time, I was very involved in the coaching, internet marketing, and event production space. So I was like really in that industry. So we were helping startups, coaches, entrepreneurs build online programs, live events,
Okay.
mostly focused on personal transformation. A lot of focus on spiritual transformation, helping people get more connected to who they are, to a higher power, and then use that insight to fuel their life mission, whatever that may be. And so that was a really rewarding line of work for me. I absolutely love it, and still love it. Still involved in the industry. Still connected to a lot of entrepreneurs. Spoke at an event like 2 weeks ago, and and but I was running a very full on business at the time. And while it was great, I was supporting a lot of like solo entrepreneurs, and I'd always wanted to. The nature of my coaching and my business development skills have always been more like consulting than coaching. So I just like creating stuff with people at the end of the day. I just like creating shit. So uh, I produced an online summit called the Crypto Virtual Summit as a way to get more educated and make connections in the industry. Just kind of using my internet marketing skills. And I had a friend who is a virtual summit specialist, does it for a living. So he was like, hey, why don't we just combine forces and try to launch a thing? And so we started working on it. And then next thing you know was like the crazy Bitcoin run from like 1800 to 20 grand, all within the course of us like developing this project in 6 months. So it was an interesting time to get involved. One, because uh, based on the things that I had learned, it was a little bit more action than I was hoping for,
Yeah.
because I started to
Fast
realize that it.
paced.
Say that again?
It's real fast paced. Like that was
Yeah,
a
man.
fast paced moment.
It really was I remember when I waited for the previous correction to buy Bitcoin at 1800, and it was great. And then when it went up so much so fast, it just threw me for a loop, honestly. Like I was like, I just didn't feel like it was ready for it, and I didn't
Right.
know that it was going to end well. So it was kind of awkward place to having like launched this media project, have the market go so fucking berserk, and then kind of be in this awkward place of people like are we teaching education or investing advice, which we weren't. Honestly, I just wanted to go like, this is an industry that's up and coming. I like how inclusive it is. I really like the values of it. I like that it represents us culturally and collectively able to restructure our government, our finances, take power back into our own hands. Those things fucking matter to me. I love the power to the people. Like put it back in the hands of us, but we need systems and algorithms to actually do that effectively, and it's not going to happen. Like the hippie era didn't take over for a reason, right? And the Burning Man culture, while it's infiltrated, hasn't taken over for a reason. It's because the infrastructural systems just aren't there. So I saw this as a real opportunity to catalyze a level of change, from kind of a top down and bottom up approach. And on that summit, long story long, was was Ethos. They're a big partner of us, and I got to know the CEO Shingo Levine really well. Levine, sorry, and he's a brilliant young genius. And so we got connected. Shortly thereafter, he said, "Hey, we're looking for an executive marketing director of Ethos. Are you interested?" He entertained that position to me, and I scoped out everything, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I got involved with the company, and so I'm the executive marketing director of Ethos. Ethos is a universal wallet company. So we've created a universal wallet that gives users the ability to safely send, store, track, receive over 140 different cryptocurrencies. So a fair amount of diversity, a number of blockchains integrated, and then in the process of working on a number of launches and updates and partnerships and really building out the Ethos ecosystem, we got involved with Voyager, which is the other domain you mentioned, investvoyager.com, and they have just launched a crypto trading app. Right now, it's on iOS first, in eligible states, but it's essentially a commission-free trading app that allows you to purchase, buy and sell crypto off of multiple exchanges from a really simple, lean interface. It's really nice. And the companies started to work together. So I started supporting Voyager as well. I'm the VP of marketing of Voyager. And this ended up coming full circle, where just last week we announced that the companies have merged. So now we're operating under one entity and one umbrella. And there's some exciting things I can share on top of that and the developments that have unfolded. But that's what I do, and I help manage the campaigns, the marketing, the community, anything that is front facing from a communication perspective, partnerships, and we do a lot of collaborative marketing, and development projects with other coins and tokens.
That's pretty cool, man. I like that you got into this space because you were just trying to contribute. That's kind of like why I got in. You're incentivized to contribute because you're just like, if everybody got into this, they would just be so woke. Plus, there's not enough Bitcoin for everybody, so
That's
yay
right.
me, I got in before you. But now I want you all to know about it. It's like one of those things.
Totally. And
So
it was
there,
very much that. Like, I want to add value, and I want to. I felt like it was so odd, and I still think it's odd that, for as much as this industry values transparency, we just need more and more platforms to be able to speak to larger audiences that aren't just like events, that are more digital based. So that was part of it too.
Yeah, awesome. So Ethos is partnering up with Investment Voyager. I guess that means it's possible to buy multiple different currencies from multiple different places and store them on your Ethos wallet.
Soon. So one of the big projects that we're working on. So right now, Voyager doesn't have crypto deposits and withdrawals. So and that's a tough thing for Voyager, because obviously they want they value self custody just like we do at Ethos. So that's part of what sparked this merger, is the need for that. So what we're doing is we're building that deposit withdraw system within Voyager, and it's actually, a lot of people think, oh, that sounds really simple. You just have addresses and you include it, but it's not so simple, because Voyager actually executes those trades and buy and sell orders across over 10 different exchanges. And it scans the entire marketplace for the best price.
Hmm.
And then it helps fill those orders based on the best price. It's also commission free. So there's no fee charge for that. They just take a little bit of the spread. And on a great instance, you really do get the best price. So soon you'll be able to purchase, trade, manage, and then
Is that like arbitrage in enabling though?
It's not, because you're not buying from one exchange and sending to another. It actually helps level out pricing across exchanges so that there's not inflation and manipulation in a way. But this is not new tech. the co-founders of Invest Voyager, one of them was one of the like I think it's the chief technology officer, Oscar Salazar, well, was one of the co-founders of Uber. So he's really experienced with building like app tech. And then the CEO, Steve Ehrlich, he was I forget his official title. I think it was the president of trading at E-Trade, but he also built a product called Lightspeed that essentially does the same thing for the stock market. So it's essentially a natural evolution and kind of an inevitability in crypto. But I wouldn't consider it arbitrage because you're not getting, it does the executing of the orders for you. You're not choosing what exchange to purchase from, and you're not choosing what exchange to sell from. I mean, if that was the case, it would be just kind of an arbitrage app, but it's not. It's much more like it's just finding the best price. You actually don't even know what exchange you're doing the trades from.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. All right, cool. So, I guess what's like the roadmap look like then? You know, we kind of know what's up with them right
Yeah.
now, but what's that merger look like, and what does that mean for the end user experience? What's 2019 look like for that product all in one?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And some of this stuff is public and some of it's not. So I have to kind of dance a little bit carefully around this, but there's definitely a lot I can share. So currently, both brands are going to stay independent from one another. We have the Voyager brand and we have the Ethos brand. On the Ethos side, we're going to be working on more coin integrations into the wallet. The way that we do self custody and the way that users control their private keys, listing a token in the wallet takes a bit of work. We also don't charge for that. So, we have to spin up a blockchain node for every new
I was just
blockchain.
gonna ask that if he's running node for every token and that user listing.
That's right. That's right. And like I said, we don't charge for listing fees. We try to have it be a service to the community. And so right now we're working on Cardano because that's what our community voted for. And then we're going to move through other top
Right,
cryptocurrencies.
it's a volume dependency thing, really. I mean,
A
why
little
else would
bit.
you run the node? It would just be counterproductive.
But yeah, that's right, because there's expense and overhead involved with running those nodes. So we want to make sure that that token's being utilized. If it's an asset that's launched on a blockchain and we already have that blockchain listed, so for example, an ERC20 on Ethereum, or the future of whatever the Cardano standard is for tokens that are launched on Cardano, that's easier. But actually spinning up the node is a challenge. So we're working on future token integrations. We just released a high performance update. So the app had some lag issues before, but now it's really snappy. I'm really proud of it. We are going to continue those high performance upgrades. We're doing some server upgrades. And then something that we've been working on is this commission-free fiat gateway. And this is a collaboration with Voyager, where like one of the big challenges that people have is crypto to fiat in and out, right?
Right.
And the ability to purchase altcoins with fiat at fair prices that sync with your bank account and do so in a safe manner, essentially being able to sidestep Coinbase if you prefer, or at least be able to have an alternative choice, right? And so that's something that we've been working on developing. Voyager right now, like you can sign up for your account, instant fund it, I think like up to 50 grand, as long as it's approved. You do all of your trades with USD. So, a lot of that tech is built, but now we're going to integrate it. So on top of that, it requires a larger custody solution. I can't get too much into that, but there's a collaborative, larger project that's going on in reference to Ethos and Voyager in that way, and that's really exciting. So on the Ethos side, listing more tokens, improving the performance, adding new features and widgets, increasing the utility of the token in the Ethos app, and as well as now that we've merged that token utility is going to be woven into the Voyager platform as well. And on the Voyager side, listing more tokens, adding more trade opportunities, getting those deposits and withdrawals enabled, clearing more states because Voyager's unique. And the reason why this partnership came about is because to do what people don't necessarily realize, like, why don't you just start a Coinbase competitor? And,
Right.
why? Well, you have to have money transmitter licenses.
So just get
And
one. They have them right down at the office, right? The Office Depot.
That's right. Chipotle, you're just like
Yeah,
it's
right next
Philly
to, yeah.
and Virginia. So like it's a pain in the ass. It's super expensive and it takes a long time. So on the Voyager side, we have to clear out the entire U.S. of money, get all the money transmitter licenses complete. They're all in motion, and then get getting those licenses globally, which is actually sometimes a little bit easier because in the US it's really weird. Those transmitter licenses are state based, but in places like Europe they're country based, a little bit easier. If they're so that's a big part of the roadmap. And Voyager is going to be listing more tokens as well as working on their Android product, desktop product in the future, and interconnecting the ecosystems.
So something that everybody and everything that contributes to crypto has a problem with is user adoption, on ramping, right? Getting
Yeah.
new people in. It's hard enough getting people that are already into crypto to use your platform, right? Like I already use Coinbase, right? Good luck getting me to use your platform, let alone
Right.
somebody that doesn't even know what Bitcoin is, right? So like I'm just curious, like what do you think that projects, not even yours, but maybe if you have any examples, but if any, can really make it easier on ramping experience for these people to just kind of get their first Bitcoin, and it doesn't feel like it's
Yeah.
that much harder than just giving a few more fucks than Coinbase gives their customers.
No, it's not. There's two layers to it, right? So one, there's the migrating the casual crypto people into other tools, products, and services, and that's a big conversation. And I think the way that that's really done effectively is actually building relationships and values for the actual communities.
No, I
You know, you,
definitely agree.
so I think that you got to really serve the Bitcoin community. You really got to serve the Ethereum community. You build things for them, and you got to make them intuitive, simple, easy to use. I think that I think one of the coolest things that's happened. I'll talk about this more, but I think the 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 acceleration of DApp development and where that's going is just really exciting. And I think that will help. I think a lot of people will start using crypto in interfaces where they don't even realize they're fully interfacing with blockchains. I think that that's a big step because a much more intuitive, easy to use crypto kitties sort of things, whether it's
Right, but like
collectible
the whole
cards.
like on ramp experience though, right? Like for example, just like having to resubmit my KYC, right? Like I just went through that process with those guys.
Yeah,
And it took 5 days, and now they have my driver's license, my passport, my social, like,
yeah,
and then I have to do that again and again. And I just think that we have to make that a little bit more
I
ubiquitous.
agree.
And I don't know. That's why I was really interested in Vinny Lingham's Civic, right? The identity blockchain project. And I have it on my phone. I used it at Consensus. I went up to a beer vending
Right.
machine, and the beer vending machine said, scan this QR code. So I did. And my phone was like, hey, how much information do you want to give this machine? And I was like, not this, just birthday, not this, not this. Send. And the machine was like, birthday, over the age of, okay, gave me the beer. So like
What? That's
yeah,
amazing.
and then I
I
was
love
just
that.
I want that experience more ubiquitous to these
Yeah,
exchanges. Like imagine just having to log in with Civic, just put your biometric, your fingerprint or your retina to your, like I don't know if you use a Samsung device, but if you
I
go
do.
to if you
Yeah.
go to log in, it says log in with Samsung Retina, and it just scans your eyes and it just boop, does all the logging in, and it's encrypted biometric, so you don't have to worry about somebody sitting there and doing a password hack. Your
Right.
eyeballs are the encryption, and they've been proven you can't take a picture of somebody's eye and fake the ability to scan it, and it just won't recognize it. So it's pretty fascinating stuff. It's
Yeah.
easy to do. It's super secure, and I just want to see that more involved in
Yeah.
the exchanges today. And like I think that deals
Yeah.
with more incorporation of partnerships, right? Working more together.
It's ecosystem based right now,
Thanks for
unfortunately.
this subscribe love story.
Thanks, love story. Uh, it's more ecosystem based right now. And that's the way it's going to be until the bridges are built. So one of the things that I know Neo is working to do with Nash, like the idea with Nash, and I don't know if this is still in their roadmap, but I know originally one of the visions for that was like once you sign up for the KYC, and you're all cleared, especially since they're a security platform, then you can auto one-click ICO invest,
Yes.
and it all auto populates your information. It's saved, it's encrypted,
Yeah,
you're
I did
unlocking
one of
that.
them actually. I
Right.
think I have it on my phone, and it was actually a really fairly simple process to invest in different ICOs once you're approved.
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
what was the name?
And so I think you're going to see that with like uh, different apps that allow you to use that same data and cross-reference it. And then you're going to have the KYC interoperability solutions with
This one,
APIs.
Ito.
Yeah, Ito, for sure.
Ito is friggin' dope, dude. So highly underrated. And I'm not much of an investor, so I don't ever talk
Yeah,
about it, but and I don't like to really talk and pump shit that I'm like, you know what I mean? So I never really talked about it, but I do use Ito to invest in different projects, and I think I'll be honest, Pigsby, the
okay.
piggy bank,
Not that familiar with that.
there was like a piggy bank toy. It was like a hardware wallet for kids.
Okay.
It was a weird shit coin, but it was
Sure.
like it was the intention, right? I was like,
Yeah, of
they
course.
want to teach kids about Bitcoin. Shut up and
Uh,
take my money.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's all it
I,
took.
so there has to be something to pull people in for a reason to get them over some level of the hump of a registration process.
Yep.
One of the reason why the internet in a way grew so much in the last 5 years is the fact that you can sign up with everything with Google,
Log in with Google. I was
account,
just about to
log
fucking
with
say
Google.
that, bro. Like, save wavelength, dude. Log
Yeah.
in with Google. And that now it's ubiquitous, right? It's like a fucking virus that we can't live without. It's insane.
So I mean, I think we're already seeing it with Samsung with the key store,
Yeah,
right? Because if the key store is registered in the phone, and it's if you can sync your KYC to the key store, and it's all completely verified there, and then the DApps or the exchanges that are happening that you're accessing can access the key store and auto pop your KYC. Well, there you go. Then it's a one and done. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think honestly, there has to be really good UI UX, and there has to be a reason for it. I think that one of the biggest issues that I saw in the bear market, and this may sound weird since I work for a company that also does exchanges, but that a lot of these companies with roadmaps that were promising a lot of interoperability kind of turned and went back to the idea of launching a DEX as what they should be working on right now. And I think part of that was like a resource issue. But I think the reason why they chose a DEX was they were like, we can't create uh, interoperability. We can't connect to different platforms and build an ecosystem unless we have some form of a decentralized wallet system
Right.
and
And that
blockchain
why
abstraction.
make a wallet unless you're making an exchange? I hear it all the time. It's the same
Yep,
cost, same licenses, the same legal friggin' loopholes.
yep,
You just don't have any returns as a wallet,
yep.
really.
Yeah, wallets get their returns from integrating swaps and purchases and that kinds of
Yeah,
things. But
partnering with like Changely and taking a,
that's
a
right.
0.1% on the conversion fees and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and we have Shapeshift in our wallet, and we have Simplex in our wallet.
Collectibles.
Not yet,
I'm
but
addicted to
we're
collectibles, man. I want to see NFTs everywhere.
dude. I'm so interested in your fascination with collectibles and like what you've been collecting, because I think one of the things that's really cool about you, Ken, is that you take the time to actually use crypto and figure out how you can use it, and you enjoy it. Like that's something that's really rare. I meet so many crypto enthusiasts that don't utilize crypto day in and day out, even developers. So I'm kind of fascinated like how you got into collectibles and why it's something that what do you get out of that? What does that fill for you?
Hmm. I don't know. It's just something I've always desired, even as a kid when I was playing video games. Like growing up with like things like Call of Duty and things where I was buying DLCs for the first time. I never bought like digital downloadable content. I was like, I bought the game. I have the game now. Let me play it. What do you mean I have to buy the game again? Like I just bought the shit. So I was like, all right, let me see what's up with this. And I don't know, like I saw people that were selling their accounts with like the complete like DLC packages, for probably like 10 or 20% than what they paid for. So I guess they had some deal. Maybe they worked at GameStop
Right.
and they got it for half off, and now they're selling it for like a 30% profit instead of a You know, so I'm like, all right, cool, I can see that. So I was
Yeah, the
like,
collectible
wow.
hustle.
Right. So I was like, actually, at first I was buying some accounts, and then I was realizing my stats weren't adding up. I was saving money because I was buying your account or his account or their account, so I could play these things cheaper. Because I was just even
Right.
on, I was probably one of the first people to buy someone's Pokemon Go account because I just didn't feel like doing all the work. I just didn't
Right.
feel like doing all the fucking work. That's so much work running around the neighborhood. So I was like, I bought a Pokemon Go account and changed the name as soon as they edited.
Sure.
You could edit names. So I've always been buying downloadable content, and I've
Uh-huh.
never felt like I owned any of the shit I've ever bought. It was like a weird feeling, like I'm throwing real money at this, or at least, well, fiat,
Yeah.
throwing money at this,
It's
and
fair.
I don't own it. I don't have any. I can't do anything with it. It's not really mine. And if I wanted to give you something, I can't. Like even in like
Right.
Fortnite, I bought the Galaxy Note 9. I got that
Uh-huh.
$1,000 Galaxy skin. It's like super rare in Fortnite,
Yeah.
but I can't do anything with it unless I sell my entire account. And that's
Which is,
me.
you'll get banned, you
Yeah.
know?
So why don't they have it in-game ability to do that? Why do I have this thing but I
Dude,
don't have it? So it's just
I remember
frustrating.
I was a like teenager and I was really into Magic cards. I used to play tournaments every weekend and that was my jam, you know.
Dude,
I like,
look what I got in here. Check this
what you
out.
got? Don't tell me you're back on the MTV, man.
Oh man, I just got into it, dude. Check it out. All right, so I went to Mr. Ease in New Jersey. This guy, shout out to that guy.
What up, Mr. Ease?
Bro, I got the box topper for
Oh,
the
snap.
Ultimate Masters. So I got 10 packs of Ultimate Masters cards.
Wow. Dude, aren't they just sexy? There's just something about it. It just gets your dopamine going, those shiny packages, like
And knowing there's
uh,
only one card in this thing, like, it's...
mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I went to like a trading place that we used to like trade cards and we used to game and do tournaments at, and they caught me selling cards to someone and they kicked me out of the store. And I lost my
Oh.
ability to compete, and I was super upset, man. Like it was my thing, and it kind of after that I was just kind of soured on it because the place that like I would go every weekend, I was no longer welcome. And I was like really bummed. I was just never that. I was never like a kid who was like trying to get into shit, you know.
Right.
And and
See, I
but I
never
was
did
also
like Magic. I never did Magic tournaments, but I did do a lot of Pokemon tournaments because, like, I
nice.
was like, what, 10? Yeah, I was like 10, 11 years old. So, like, during those years, I was playing
Uh,
at my local Toys R Us Pokemon tournaments. And
uh,
I won one or two. I had, like, the Pikachu birthday, Surfing Pikachu, all those cool little cards that didn't do shit
nice.
in battle. They were just nice to have as, like, a collection. You had no, like, perks in game, but it was cool.
Yeah. I
Um,
think I'm a little bit older than you, so I think I was more of the Magic generation, and you were more of the Pokemon
I'll
generation.
be honest, I'm 30, so
Yeah, 32. We're close.
yeah. So I was gonna say like it may have been, but I was definitely immature for my age. Anyway, but yeah, it was the same principle, but like I didn't feel like I could. Like I bought cards off of friends and I didn't know, like not friends, but like people
Yeah,
at tournaments, and it wasn't like a real card. It was like counterfeit, and it was like
right.
fake. And then they'd be like, "This isn't a real card," and I'm like, "How is it not real? I can touch it, I can hold it, you can feel it, you see
Uh-huh.
it. It's a real. That's a real Charizard. He's attacking you." And they're like, "Nope, that's not acknowledged in the game because it's a counterfeit." And I'm like, "How do you know?"
Right.
And then I'm like, "Damn!" So like, it makes it hard to even do like third party.
It's
It's
true. It's true. Yeah,
hard to
like and to
verify.
verify those things. And, yeah, it's hard to verify things. I also like uh I'm not I'm a I live pretty simply. Like I'm a bit of an essentialist. I don't have that much stuff. I'm kind of moving into the phase of my life where I want more shit. But like I don't have that much. But I'm still fascinated with like antiques and like classic things and Americana. You know, things that categorically are a part of history. And I just think it's fascinating. And I also know so many people, including our own families, who like don't have records for certain antiques, can't back those things up, and they're essentially illiquid. You know, and so that's interesting. And I think that the collectible world and the blockchain verification world gets really fascinating because things become liquid again, and they also become like verifiable. And you're right, you like own it, and like it's cool to give something to somebody where you're like, I own this outright, and now it's yours. Like that's cool.
I'm
You're right.
even
There is a
thinking about tokenizing physical shit and making it into an NFT. Like that painting right behind you, make that
sure.
into a non-fungible token. Put a private key on it, you know, protect it, and
Yeah.
make sure that you can prove you have access to the private key. You can sign a message, you know, and prove to me that you have access to the private key, and say, hey, this is the private key. See, I signed a message. Here, I'm sending you the private key to the painting. The painting is going
Yeah.
to go in the mail, and then it's going to become yours. Send me the money.
Love that.
So that way
Love
I have some form. It's almost like I have the car's title, right? Like I have the private key to that painting, even though you haven't mailed it to me yet. I still have the title to it. I own that painting. So if you
Yeah.
don't mail it to me, it's not hard for me to prove that I fucking own it. The private key is
Right.
ingrained in the art, and I would see this done probably on the canvas with an NFC, like a near field communication sticker
Right.
that's somehow like encrypted and locked with the public and private key on it. So if you tap your phone to the art, it will say, hey, this is the address. And then
Mhm.
I can sign a message saying, look, I have the private key to that address.
Right.
And the police would
Little
give it to
hash
me.
just yeah. And like the thing that could be interesting about that too, is that like you could essentially uh, take photos of the art piece before you're going to ship it, and those photos with their timestamp could be hashed to the NFC too. So it's like
Mhm.
it's all registered, so you know that here was the condition at the time that I created this label, and it's all verified through the system. And if it's shipped to you and it's like got thrashed, you can be like, oh, you bought it in this condition. Well, I didn't, because you verified its condition. Here is the right corner as documented by your photo on that timestamp, and it's all registered within this
Supply chain, baby.
yeah, exactly. Peer-to-peer supply chain. You know,
Right,
it's I,
right.
I, I love blockchain for the idea of large-scale supply chain. I love the idea of us being able to manage our own supply chain of trade. And I think it will make a more collaborative, interactive culture when we uh, can verify those things. And but you know, in reference to like on ramps, uh, the truth is, I think it's healthy UI, and I think the
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, though.
yeah, sure.
You know, people don't understand the difference between user interface and user experience, and
Right.
what a UI or UX could suffer for 80%, one weighing out the 20% to the other, or vice versa. We've seen some projects, even like CryptoKitties, suffer from a UI UX paradox, where the
Right.
user interface was pretty shitty, but the user experience was pretty cool. Like people liked breeding the
Right.
cats. I know everybody was like, dude, I mixed this one with this one, and this one's got a goofy eye. It's going that way. Look, it's so cute. And I'm like, awesome, but like, how easy is it? Like, what's the experience
Yeah.
like? And they're like, well, there's gas, so that's a thing. And I'm like, so, and they're like, yeah, it goes up and down, and it costs a lot to make these cats have sex. It ain't cheap.
Right.
So, so these cat fetish breeders had to spend a
Right.
lot of money, and it wasn't an easy experience for people to like when they heard about how much fun you were having. It wasn't
Right.
something that you'd just be like, oh, I'm just gonna download that app and play Flappy Bird with you, like
Right.
everybody does. When it's
It
easy.
wasn't the 50 million users in 2 weeks on Apex Legends because it's so smooth. You know, like it doesn't have that. So you're right, and there is a big issue there, and I think that's part of what crypto still really suffers with, is that there's elements of it that are fun, there's elements of it that are very unique, and it kind of spurs a different emotional charge for people than things that have come before it. And I think that that's special because um, like if you look at the way that we've bred dogs over the last couple hundred years, you can see how much people love the idea of fucking with genetics, even if they're digital, and messing with things and creating new things, and then having ownership over that, and having a lineage that feeds their ego of like, oh yeah, that pristine, you know, digital dog or cat is my thing. You know, people take pride in that stuff, and I think it's great. But um, when it becomes so complicated and even has, you know, security issues, like there's people I know who had issues with my Ether wallet and that whole thing when during the CryptoKitties
Dude,
time. And
even with MetaMask, it's still
I
not
know,
easy. It's
still not
not.
easy.
Go
Uh,
grab a random person off the street and say, hey, figure out how to play Mario Brothers on your phone right now. And they'll be like, here, I'm playing here. I'm already on World 3. What? How was that? All right, now go figure out how to sell a crypto kitty. What? You know, it's not, they're not going to be able to, it's not even remotely relatable to the experience that they have with other applications yet.
Yeah, and it will be, right? So like I think Engine is doing a great job.
Engine and Trust Wallet, I think Trust Wallet's fucking killing it right now with that experience.
Totally.
You open the browser, you pick up your whatever mainnet you want to run, like Ethereum, PoA network they run, and recently I heard that they're going to be doing Tron.
No, PoA was on that. Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can do like dope raiders and use PoA decentralized exchanges and stuff on Trust Wallet. So like those wallets that are becoming like browsers for these decentralized applications, like extensions to run on, that's the experience that's relatable.
That's right. That's right. And I think that infrastructure is being built right now. I think they're figuring out the fact that you can't have all these technicalities. You got to simplify the addresses. You got to simplify the transaction mechanism. You can't have gas to be a part of it. You have to just have speed be the only option and cost. And then after that, something has to happen like the CryptoKitties phenomenon, but much bigger and much more exciting. You know, something has to come along that is a bit of a unicorn. And I hate to use that word in fucking crypto because it's so awfully, bastardized. But as you got to have something.
Coinbase ruined it. Okay, I'm gonna say it right now. Fuck
that's
Coinbase.
Right. There you go. But there's got to be something that people go, holy shit, I want in on this, and then they go to get in on it, and it's seamless, it's smooth, it's flawless. And I think that will. I think what Samsung's realizing and what some of these other companies are realizing, what we're realizing too, honestly, is that the youth will help spur a lot of this, and they're more willing to figure out the tech, but they're also more interested in playing with these kinds of tools. And I think that when something comes along where it starts spreading through high schools and people get into it, and people may say, well.
Yeah, we don't set trends, okay? In our 30s, we ain't setting fucking trends, bro. We come outside wearing a tie as a belt. We look homeless. That shit is not trendy. Yeah,
I wear a big sweater and I don't shave for a week, and people at the dog park are looking at me like, "Who's this guy?"
Right? No, I dig it. It definitely is. Like, this is not being built for us. We are building it for the youth. We won't really have an opportunity to really implement this into our daily lives. We will have to be grandfathered in, for lack of a better pun. But the youth are the ones that are going to be like ubiquitous to this. They're going to, you hand a 5-year-old an iPhone, and a 5-year-old doesn't know how to read. They just know how to download an app and play it like intuitively. They just this button, that's the one. Okay, right. Now I'm playing it. It's going to be at the point where you hand them a hardware wallet, like there's money in this. 5-year-old, there's money in this. They're gonna 5 years old is gonna plug this into a computer and be like, got that money, I got a package coming from Amazon, don't open my stuff.
That's exactly right. And the thing that what was I gonna say on that piece? A lot of people object to this idea because they think, the kids don't have the resources or the money. And I have to question that because
they don't have the right. That's what's fucked up.
Yeah, but also there's the average Fortnite skin is what, $11? Are you kidding me? And like all these kids are playing this. Every game app that these kids are playing are overrun with in-app purchases. And parents today, I have the imagination that without a doubt, the majority of them are budgeting or either just sweating out the fact that their kids are blowing hundreds of dollars a month on in-app purchases.
And you know what their excuse is? At least they're not doing drugs and hanging out with their friends in the park and breaking elbows riding their skateboard. Like they justify that shit because they outweigh the risk reward, right? They're like, at least I know what my kid's up to, because when they were younger they were out getting high and fucking, that's why they have a kid fucking now.
That's right. That's right. They're just happy their 12-year-old isn't like on mushroom surfing the way they were, you know? Like,
Exactly. That's what the problem is. It's overparenting that's
sure.
enabling this, but it's
Yeah.
also enabling the third parties to really capitalize on this. And
Yeah.
it's not an investment opportunity for these kids as much as it was for us with Pokemon and Magic. You have a
Yeah.
Black Lotus right now, bro. Fuck,
Right?
10 grand. You going on a vacation this year?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you have a
Uh,
Fortnite skin. You got John Wick. Who gives a shit? You can't give it to me.
dude,
I
I
love it.
remember,
I like it. I wish I had it. It's original from season what? 3, 4? Shit, I wish I had one.
yeah.
Can't give it to you though. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, uh, these kids have the resources, man. They can and they will. And when something comes along that draws their attention and it's
So
simple,
what's sending that
like,
trend? What's doing that right now? What do you see actually like kind of leading the
yeah,
way for people to actually look up to or maybe see as sort of the puck mover, right? Like I like to talk about like be
yeah,
where the puck's going in crypto and don't worry about the
right.
path, but who's moving it? Like who's actually getting it there?
I think we've kind of talked about it in terms of like some of the players who are like Engine Trust and just the DApp developers themselves. The DApp developers are the ones who are leading the trends. The people who are taking the time to have the game bounties, the game conferences. I don't care. I don't
That's
care
true.
what platform it is. It's going to be on Neo. It's going to be on Tron. It's going to be on EOS. It's going to be on
Steam.
Ethereum. It's going to yeah. It's going to
Steam's
be on Steam.
I've seen
Steam.
so much built on Steam that I like, actually kind of underestimated recently until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We're gonna wake up and we're gonna be sidelined, like slapped in the face with where did this stuff come from? It looked like nothing was happening, and now these DApps are everywhere. How did this become such a big thing? But who is actually the? It's all of these companies combined that I think are moving the needle forward a little bit. But the actual like who's going to be the one to score the goal, I don't know yet. I don't think we know yet. I think that the DApp territory is just that fresh. But I also know that my parents were more supportive of me doing things like Magic cards because they saw the value in those things. And I think the parents will be more supportive of the kids to integrate with dApps when there's actual retention of value going into the things that they own, even if it's
Sure.
temporary. And they're going to be like, all right, cool. Like I can put $100 in this, but I also like you misbehave, and I'm going to sell your fucking crypto alien. You know what I mean? Like sorry.
If
Like,
it's on engine, you just melt that. Oh no, I can see it now. I can see it now. I'm in detention and my mom's melting my golden 007 Desert Eagle gun skin that I got. I could see it.
yeah,
She's like, you
yeah.
can keep the money, but I melted the skin, you little prick. I'm like, ah!
Exactly. But I think parents will just be more. They don't want to see like the last thing we don't with the gaming industry exploding. It's another opportunity for top down 1%. And some of that I think is just the normal emergence of commerce and
Well,
popularity.
what do you think
But
about like the
the other
rights a
side of
kid
that.
has to this, right? Like you're not allowed to give a seven, or not even, but like whatever, a 5-year old. You can't give your 5-year old a bank account and the freedom to do whatever they
Right.
want with it, right? Like legally, your government and your bank
Right.
are like, no, your kid's not allowed, even though. As an adult, and it's your parent, as your parent, you can teach your kid how to use money, how to be
Mhm.
responsible, and be like, here's your bank card. Go ahead. Here's your chore allowance money. There you go. You order what you want. You trust them on, you monitor their, activity on the internet. Whatever. You
Is there
can't
an
do
age range for
this.
PayPal or Venmo? Like,
I
do you have to
believe
be above a
so.
certain?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, because you have
I
to
don't.
submit KYC on PayPal now. It's mandatory.
Right. Right. Um.
So it's
Yeah.
like I think it's like really empowering though. Just think about it,
Yeah.
like being a kid and playing Steam Monsters, right? Be that 5-year-old,
Right.
that 7-year-old. Because I was young as shit, but I was young playing on my computer at home. Like we had a
Same.
computer as soon as there was a home computer,
Yep.
and I was like the first person to try to like draw themselves in paint, and it was a horrible experience. But I tried anyway.
Yeah.
Mine, the whole everything. It was just like I don't know. I've tried around. So the kids today, they're gonna play around with these things. They're gonna make some money, like Steam
Yep.
Monsters. They're gonna win a card, like whatever. And now, what are your thoughts though of like the responsibilities or the
Yeah.
repercussions of this, right? Like
I think it's
What
just,
if
I think
you were
it's
able to
so,
sell your Charizard as a 10-year-old for somebody to for $300 because that's what it was
yeah.
worth? Like, you couldn't
But you
do
know,
that.
the thing is, gaming fucks up traditional values because now, like, if we were to poll, say, 100 kids in like the eighth grade about what they want to do for a living, we would have kind of scary amount of results on the amount of ones that would
I
want
want
to
to be like
stream.
Ninja.
Exactly. So now you have all these kids that are under 18 years old who are operating businesses, who are receiving donations, operating accounts, they're receiving subscriber money. Of course, their parents' endorsement, but I think that we, I think it's going to start as being seen as very harmless, as it's just a collectible thing. It's just an extension of in-app purchases, and then it's going to go into where we're going to get those stories where either a kid gets rich or a kid gets wrecked, and then we're going to
Both
have
rich
real,
then wrecked.
that's right. That's right. As usual, as part of being in crypto anyway. So
Yeah, there's gonna be like a Bitcoin equivalent to the Gary Coleman story. Like that's really what we're waiting for, right? Like, we saw the
sure.
one recently where the kid had the purple Lambo. It was like the Bitcoin
Yeah,
millionaire, billionaire.
the
No,
one
he's
who left it in
Bitcoin
the
billionaire.
woods, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it was just like, oh, and it just like spun out on me. It was just, it was one of my Lambos. But yeah, I mean, imagine seeing that scenario, or even like your own kid just like having their own like, podcast like this on Steam,
right.
because YouTube, you have to go through KYC, you have to have a bank account. But if I want to open a Steam account, I can, even if I'm a kid, and I can
Yeah.
start live streaming or blogging and earning cryptocurrencies, and then I could shop on Purse.io without going through any other KYCs. And now I can order things from Amazon. So I'm getting, ice cream and candy delivered to the house whenever I want it. I don't know. I think that it's really empowering. I think that it would
I do
actually
too.
I think
I
that
do
it would
too.
actually enable the incentive to learn more about money at a younger age, because you have the
Yeah.
ability to actually fucking do something with it at a younger age. You can.
Kids for so long culturally were told this is my house, this is my things, this is not yours until you're old enough to have your own. Well, it's like now at a younger age they can have something that's theirs, and I think having something that's theirs is empowering. It's empowering for a kid to have their room that has
Mm,
some recognition.
imagine doing your chores and getting some equity in the house every week. A
Oh, I
very,
love
very,
that.
very, very, very
Dude, great.
fractional amount.
Awesome idea, Ken. I love that idea.
Because
um,
you get paid in equity in the house, so the better the house looks, the better the house is. The more the house sells for when you're older, the
right.
more you're gonna get out of this. So that you're right. When people get handed shit, even as a kid, whenever you just don't appreciate it as much as when you got
Yeah.
your first job and you're just like, wait, this is how much comes out. What is this? What's how much? Why are they taking money away?
I had plans,
Yeah.
and even like a kid could do chores and have shares in a vacation rental, and they contribute to the vacation every year and own part of the
Oh, that would be
vacation
sick. See,
property. And then when they're 18 years old, they can use the vacation property certain amounts of time a year because they have fractional ownership of it. I think kids need to be given a healthy level of responsibility, a chance of failure, and ownership of assets at younger ages. And I think if we deny that, we're just in denial because it's already happening, but it's already happening in ways that they're acquiring things they don't actually own. So I think
right.
it's just a very easy migration because and
Well, what are
great.
your thoughts on like the KYC process and regulations of like uh what is it? Like, I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't regulate the investors, right? Like, I shouldn't have to be an accredited investor. They should have to be an accredited company asking for investments, right?
Right.
Like, don't protect me from losing money, but protect me from an asshole that's trying to take my money, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, like don't go through me. Don't do your research on me as the investor. Go into that company and say, "Hey, company, are you KYC'd?" And if they're not, then don't let them raise money. Don't let me donate
Yeah.
money to them.
I
But
mean,
don't stop me. I feel like I should be able to invest in dumb shit. And even as a kid, if you want to invest in some dumb shit, you should be able to. And nobody stops
right.
any 5-year-old from walking into a store, buying a pack of Pokemon cards, and being like, "Oh, look at this! Got a
Right.
Charizard. This is worth $3,000." Like it's so fucking. It's just bullshit to stop
Yeah.
me or anybody from investing in an IPO.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the accredited thing has to go because it just doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't go, then I believe that they're going to hack it like legitimately through STOs or something like that, where you're essentially buying an accreditation pool, and then that accreditation pool allows you to leverage your resources into projects. And I think that they'll just bridge it because that needs to, it's either going to change or it's going to get hacked in a way that loopholes their policies. On the other side of certain exchanges, I think it's just tough. I mean, I think that you're dealing with a new asset class. It's really confusing for regulations, and you're dealing with a lot of companies, especially in an extreme bear market, that are just trying to do the right thing to survive. And by not doing the right thing, the risks that they take, also the risks that the founders take with going to jail now and everything else, it's tough. I think that Facebook just released information today on the fact that they're moving towards encryption and honoring privacy, which is like, okay, thanks guys, like welcome to the party. But the reality is, I think that there's going to be a lot of emergent platforms, and it's going to be a little bit like whack-a-mole. There's going to be the KYC players, and a lot of the KYC players will be bigger, and then you'll always have these little offshoots. Yep. But I think in general, with the more DApp-based stuff, I would like us to be able to not have KYC be a part of that process. I don't think it's anyone's fucking business. I think it's important that we're able to maintain asset ownership and exchange that asset ownership anonymously, unless it's publicly registered.
At least anonymously, right? Like even with things like I said, like I mentioned with Civic, with Vinny Lingham's project, CVC. I could log in with, but instead of with Google or with Facebook, I could just log in with Civic, and Civic would have a signing key that would just correspond to my data, right? But they don't have to release any of it. All Civic has to say is, "Yup, these are your parameters for using your platform. Our client meets those parameters. You don't need to see their information because you trust me enough to say I saw it. I trust them." So now let them in, and you do. And until there is an issue to seek investigation, my identity is private, anonymous, right? Like, why should I forego it? It's sort of like walking into a convenience store for a pack of cigarettes, and they say, "Let me see your ID." And you show them your ID, and the person goes, "Oh, dude, you live right down the street. I know where that house is." And I'm like, "You just needed to know my birthday. Why do you know where I live now?"
Right. It's very true. Some people would argue that now you're placing the trust in the hands of Civic in that situation.
You're placing the trust in the hands of the DMV and the issuers of passports every day. These are blatant third parties that are subjected to, bad actors and forgeries. It's easy to make a fake passport. Good luck making a fake signature of a private key that you don't own that is a public address associated to a passport. Like our blockchain doesn't recognize this passport. You forked our chain, or you faked this passport. Like it's not going the world of forgery is not going to be, and that's why I mentioned your art earlier. It's not going to be the way it used to be. Like I'm going to be able to prove so much more, and it's trust is going out. There's not going to be these, third-party auditors or notaries or anything. You can just check the blockchain. So when you come to me with a passport, I'm going to be able to tell that's fake because you didn't sign the message on our blockchain with the private key associated. So sorry.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the thing that's interesting is that like the transparency of blockchain. I think the people also don't fully realize that while blockchain's transparent, a lot of the data that is transparently registered isn't as easily retrievable in simple UI UX, right? So that's something that we had to do at Ethos is we built Bedrock, and that's kind of a big part of what Ethos is, and that it's a blockchain abstraction layer. We're able to take this stack of blockchains, sync it with one private key to unlock them, and then retrieve all of that data in a way that it gives you all this information. And of course, there's all these different applications for that. But that's, of course, close to home for me, right? That's a part of my daily life. But
I think really interesting, man. Like, I mean, you make a really good point, because if you wanted to audit a blockchain history, it's going to be really difficult to get your hands on some of that.
It's going to be a huge pain in the ass. And then, sure, you can search some of that, but like What about quick alerts? What about the fact that the DMV can be notified if there's an immediate issue with some verification? How is that system registered? You know, that's where we
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
right
like,
now it's across the state borders. DMVs don't communicate. You know, it's
right,
quite easy to get your license in another state if you had your license, you know, legally taken away from you in another state because they just
yeah,
do not communicate.
right. Yeah, I think the issue is that a lot of this boils down to what is the government so fucking concerned about, right? Like, and obviously there's the like, don't commit crimes and do things that are punishable by law, and there's tax money, and then there's also this weird invasion of privacy element. And it's like, if they're to respect privacy, well, then the tax situation, they're misappropriating and mismanaging funds so gruesomely, it's disgusting. So, you know, if we're blockchain can really help that with the transparency element, hopefully we'll get there. If not, it may take a while, but it's bad news bears, you know. And then there's the do good, and I think that with every successive cultural generation, we have more and more people that just want to do good. They just
Mm.
want to live fun lives. They just want to do the right thing. Like I so rarely meet people that want to do the wrong thing. And the people who do the wrong thing usually are uh, so eagerly trying to do the right thing for in the wrong way, they end up doing the wrong thing. So,
Right.
you know, and I'm not saying that there's not
I
bad
see that
actors, but
sometimes even with the bad actors thing, like you're mentioning, and it's almost like opposite conformity, where like there's so many
right,
people that aren't into being a dick that when you're being a dick, no, you know, you're kind of incentivized not to be. You're just gonna be a loner now.
right.
Nobody
Man,
wants
I
to
can't.
fucking be a dick with you, dude. It sucks. I'm like,
It
ah, the
sucks.
only troll, damn it. Like, and so it is starting to kind of become more of that, like, you know, because right now we need the camaraderie. That's the word,
Yeah,
camaraderie, in this space, especially after all the bad actors that have already taken advantage of, you know,
that's right.
us and the noobs, especially. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
that came into this space are they're hurt, and
hurt.
yeah,
Trust is a
it's gonna
big
take us.
conversation, man. We
Hey,
have a lot of
everyone's
trust to rebuild.
yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know, like, what are your, how do you do your due diligence in projects, right? Like, what are your kind of
Yeah,
some of your, like, maybe your process when you're like, hey, oh, this thing, like, when people are hearing about ethos.io and
sure.
investmentvoyager.com, you know, outside of you being involved, like, where would you start to do your own research in something?
Yeah, so I mean, like research, a lot of it's the practicals. Like, uh, I'll say this: a lot of it's the practical, fundamental stuff with team, white paper, companies. But I'm really interested, more so than anything, is their progress and what they're doing, and how are they communicating what they're doing. I mean, I think that you can go get a lot of information on the fundamentals a lot of places, but I think there's not as much of a focus on what's happening right now. You know, is the company shipping updates? Are things moving? Where are we within the ecosystem? And how are they enabling and lifting people up in the ecosystem? And how are they rallying together? And how are they also creating a sense of inclusivity? Like the this isn't a knock to the project. It's simply like with everything EOS related. I have a hard time figuring out what's actually going on in the ecosystem. I have a hard time figuring out what's legit, what's not legit. I have a hard time figuring out what's wash volume, what's wash DApp usage, what's not actually accurate versus what is. I can't tell the valuation of the token because I know that it's being uh, they're doing liquidity things on it to maintain volume and price action. So I have a hard time assessing what's going on in the ecosystem. Now, I believe that EOS has amazing potential. I think don't think Galaxy Digital made a wrong choice there. I think there's some issues with the way that the block producers operate. But the biggest issue for me is they say that there's all of this expansion happening in the ecosystem. And I personally struggle so hard to find the resources to actually understand what it is and how to participate in it. And, you know, and it's easy to hear about. And I also, I don't think we built all of these amazing high performance blockchain smart contract platforms for gambling. You know, like I don't care about dice. I don't care about
Oh,
you
you
know.
don't? I think that I see. I do. But I see like that as
Yeah,
being very, very small
sure.
use case in a much bigger picture. Like, you
Oh,
know,
I
being
do
able
too.
to go
And I'm just talking
verify a
about me
smart contract
personally.
randomification. Like, if
Yeah.
I go get a fucking lottery ticket and I scratch that shit off and I never ever seem to win, that's some bullshit, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now to see that I could take that lottery ticket, see the public address of it when it was created, and go check the smart contract that was used to create the results.
Yeah, and let me clarify. It's not that I don't care about the technology and what it means and where it's headed. I just am not going to sit there and play dice. So that's
I dig it.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I love where it's going, and I love
Well,
the
if you ever
infrastructure.
want to lose a lot of money really, really fast,
Okay, great.
Satoshi dice, so easy. Just bet, lose. It's like, oh, I'm really good at this.
um, yeah, in crypto, it's just so easy to lose a lot of money
Oh,
really
so
fast.
fucking easy, especially when you're fucking with dice. You're already
Yeah,
fucking with volatile shit. Why are we
right.
doing this dumb shit with it? Like, I do it, I do, but
Yeah,
it's just because I like to play with things and see if it breaks or how to play and use it. But
sure.
it's like, yeah, it's like throwing money out of a car to see how many bounces a quarter can get on the highway.
Right, right, yeah. And the truth is, I want more time to play with those kinds of things. I end up being pretty busy, and barely get some time to game with you as it is, and game with other stuff. It's it's kind of a treat for me that I'm getting back into. But I I say all of that with, like, I just want to be able to understand more what's going on. I want to be able to have an easier picture. And I think that that kind of stuff needs to be developed more, because it's hard to really figure out the progress that's being made. It's hard for me to understand what's actually happening at Cardano. I believe in it. I want to speculate on it. I believe in the tech, but I want to understand what's actually going on,
Right.
and like, I want to be able to learn more about the project. So I think in an ecosystem that's expanding so fast, um, we need better resources. When I'm evaluating projects, I'm really interested in the people. I'm really interested in the community. I love being able to see the communities that are interacting around different projects, and the questions that they ask, and the answers that they're getting, and who's involved. I think that that's huge. But the hardest part is, it's the lands of dreams, but it's not necessarily the land of milk and honey just yet. And so you gotta really flush it out. And I think evaluation doesn't happen in one moment; it happens over time. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way in crypto. Is like, I have to keep looking back at things. I have to revisit them over and over and over again, uh, because some initial analysis will never cut it.
Yeah, yeah, and somebody said down here, it says it's about getting subjects that are familiar with non-crypto people, but I've seen that with Steam and other projects as well, like Medium, and like have you mentioned, like we kind of
Yeah.
need an oracle, right? And I thought when I first saw them Steam it, I was like, oh, this is going to be like an oracle, right? Like we're going to see the developers finally incentivized to produce information about the thing that they're actually producing, because we
Right.
don't get developers vocal about their shit. Like that's why they hire content creators and influencers. Developers develop, they don't shill.
Mm.
But I always thought, like, I was like, oh, Steam's gonna, because Reddit kind of saw some of that with developers in Reddit, right? Like
Yeah.
they felt like, oh, if I put out this information about the thing I'm creating, I can get reputation upvotes, and it's just it's fodder, it's frivolous, it means nothing. But it was like, digital clout, credibility, and it made them feel
Mm.
good. And I was like, Steam's gonna pay you for doing the same shit, and it didn't really take off as much as like cat videos on the
Yeah.
blockchain kind of did on Steam, but I,
Right.
I see it as that, what Crypto West mentioned is, sort of that where it is something familiar to the legacy technologies. It's like using Reddit or Medium.com. It's like a blogging tool, but it's just not easy enough still to this point. And I think
Yeah.
it's due to, like what you said, it's the trends. It's going to be the youth that really set the trend. But just because we're using Steam, it ain't going to be like, oh, I got to download Steam because I could talk to my uncle. Like, nobody's
Right.
going to do that. No. It's not happening. So it's up to the kids that
Yeah.
are going to be like, oh, I'm done with this Facebook thing. My mom ruined it. She added my friend Becky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's totally. I mean, and the thing is, no one knows what's going to stick. That's the biggest issue in tech. It
you gotta
always has.
support everything until it fails, because I hate the shit that's
Yeah,
like, oh, it's a scam. It's a scam. Like, I get it. BitConnect was a fucking scam. But we
totally.
keep calling shit a scam, you're gonna really like dilute that word down to where people are desensitized to its effects. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I thought Ethereum was a scam. Didn't that shit go to $12,000? And or you know, I mean, like, yo, people are gonna sort of like, like that. How's that a scam? Yeah, I heard, you know, EOS is a scam. Don't they have DApps that people are actively building on? Until something scams, you got to give it the support, because we're all in this together right now.
Yeah, and the thing that I just don't I legitimately don't understand is this like maximalism and this decision, this idea and choice of wanting to just like choose one crypto project. Like for so long, I was seeing all these posts.
We've always been tribal, man. We've always been tribal. Look at sports.
Yeah,
Look at sports. Sure. We could be best friends up until I find out that you like the Cowboys because I'm from Philly. So fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane.
But here's the thing. We all like football, right? So the thing that I don't understand in crypto,
all love crypto.
So the thing that I don't understand in crypto is that in sports you can still say, you know, like fuck the Cowboys or fuck the Raiders or whatever else. But at the end of the day, I can wear my jersey and we can sit there and yell at each other and watch the TV and drink a beer because we both like football. And I the thing that is kind of a blind spot for me, because I agree, we are tribal, it's our nature. And I think
if crypto's a sport, XRP is the Yankees, for the record. Like, fuck those
sure,
guys. No, everybody loves baseball, but nobody fucking likes the Yankees unless you're from New York. And if you're from New York, fuck you. You know, like.
XRP's the Patriots. The standard.
Yo, David, the dude with the, you know, Cosmo Kramer hair. That's
right?
I can see that. He's Tom Brady. Yeah, yep.
Deflationary gate, you know.
Oh shit, Deflate Gate. Oh, I love it, dude. So I don't know, kind of.
Hold on. I just wanted to finish that thought with saying, like, I just want to encourage, like, Bitcoin's good for blockchain. Ethereum's good for blockchain. DApps are good for blockchain. And a lot of companies that I think in the next bull run that people are going to go crazy for are the institutional ones that actually are building something that they know is going to stick because they already have a business model for it. And that's one area of the industry. That's not everything. It's important that you have profitable blockchain businesses that can run blockchain for enterprise. But that's not all of what this ecosystem is. And I just want to encourage everyone to just like, guys, we're all here trying to spur the same thing. Even we can all pick our favorite team, our favorite coin. I just don't want us to lose sight of the fact that our projects collectively make things better and stronger, even if sometimes they have cheese dick marketing or, you know.
Some of the, especially some of the blockchain games are pretty cheesy with their marketing.
Sure.
It's like, dude, I didn't even know you existed. This thing, like, Plasma Bears is cool shit. And like, there's like other games that are coming out. I'm just like, damn, how did I not know all these awesome? Because like, they actually exist, right? Like, these are products and things that you can actually do and play with that like prove blockchain, you know, utility. Even like we were talking about with the Trust Wallet, you know, you can open up Trust Wallet, the browser. You can use the mainnet for Ethereum. You can play, give me an example, Ethereum, Decentraland. Right there in the app, you know, I could play Ethereum, or I could go to the Poe browser and I could play Drug Wars, which really shout out to POA Network and what was it? Yeah, Drug Wars. They made me my own little collectible in their game.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, so I have my own little NFT like
That's
thing,
rad,
and I'm wearing my pajamas and shit. So I sell drugs to you for crypto on the blockchain. But don't worry, they're magic internet drugs. They're not real drugs. They're magic
cop
internet
from your internet from your POA avatar. And
yeah, I think I still have some blow. I got some blow. I got a couple kilos of coke. You know, I mean, I'm just a businessman. You know, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So
is it fun for you to fulfill those fantasies through those things? Or like just
those avatars? Yeah, dude, I love it, dude. I have my own collectible on Engine. I have my own collectible on Wax.io. So I'm tokenized on 3 blockchains, 3 platforms, 2 different blockchains.
That's remarkable. You might be the first person to be tokenized in that way on 3 platforms. I don't know if I mean, does that exist anywhere else? Like you're pretty adamant about creating those opportunities. So.
Yeah, I got Neon District in the works, man. I'm in like 2nd place right now.
Oh hell yeah!
I need to get 1st place on Neon District.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want my own character. I was talking to the team, and I'm like, look, um, I'll get a tattoo. And they were just like, they didn't reply yet, you know? So I know they're
Yeah.
mulling it over. I know they're mulling it over. Because like, I want my own character in this. Because that would be like me being my own character in like Mortal Kombat when it first came out.
Right.
And
Right.
like, imagine this podcast being so retro that we're excited about like circuit board chips with graphics cards that make it possible for home gaming. So we're just like, we're revolutionizing gaming and we're decentralizing games. Like, fuck the arcades, man. Like, we're talking about like fuck the banks and
A
shit. Like,
controller in your hands in your home.
yes.
Like, you know,
Not your game, not your keys. Like, you know, like it's the same shit. It's
It is
just,
the
you know,
same
it's
thing.
part of a whole new like, you know, revolution. It's just the same song and
Yeah.
dance, different
I
tempo.
think some elements of the infrastructure appear still a little sluggish, and some elements are just blowing me away with how fast they're moving. And
Same.
somewhere in the midst of that is of course better market conditions, but also the actual utilization of this stuff. I mean,
Right.
I think
Practical use of it, right? Like we have so much
yeah,
fancy shit, but there's no practical use. And a lot of the examples I like to give is like Ethereum is a chainsaw, and every problem you have is your basement flooding. And you're like, but I got a fucking chainsaw. This thing's awesome. You see how much technology is into this? Look, I put gas into it, I pull it, it does stuff. But it's not going to help your flooded basement. Like,
right,
awesome tool, but the wrong practical use case. And so many people want to
sure,
just throw blockchain at a problem until like it fixes it. And I'm like, actually, you're making more problems, if anything. You
yeah,
know, you got to really take a step back and think like, everybody wants everything to be 100% decentralized too. Like,
right,
you know, they want AI to come up with the fucking, you know, platform and, you know, just volunteers from the kindness of their hearts to, you know, contribute to the idea that a autonomous, you know, AI created. Like, that's how decentralized people really want these projects. But like,
no, it's true, it's
there's
true.
levels of it that you can live with and levels of it that you cannot, right? Like, I
Yeah,
can
I mean,
deal with.
Tesla wouldn't exist if it was completely decentralized.
Exactly, exactly. Nobody, the investors would want to go left when the developers would want to go right, and that's what
Yeah,
happens 90% of the time right now in this space. And that's that UX UI, you know, paradigm
mm,
that we have is
right,
the investors, they want the UI, right?
right.
But the developers want the UX. They want this to be an amazing experience. They want you to walk away with your mind blown. The investors just want their grandmom to be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's true.
Make it easier. Make it easier. Dumb it down.
Yeah,
Dumb it down.
yeah, yeah. Like, because we want to be able to pitch it over wine, right? Like the
Exactly.
happy hour. Um, yeah, man, it's you just make some really great points there, and I love that. I just like I think it's not going to be too long where you buy your new phone. It's already happening with Samsung, and you have your DApp store on there. You got your little tools. You get to auto pop it, and then boom. It's. I think it's going to be really fun for people to go through the grocery store, scan codes, get the blockchain data immediately abstracted, read the story of the product, understand. Like, people care and people are engaged, and they clearly have enough time on their hands to want these things. Like, I would love, it's weird because I almost care about this more for like our new puppy than I do myself, but like I would love to like scan his bag and know where the animals came from the farms, to know the actual like quality of the meat that's in his food. Like, we feed him all raw food. It's really great, but I still want to know, like, did this come from New Zealand? Like, did this come from Canada? Like, where did this come from? And I think consumers want to know that. And I think that if you think complete decentralization is going to build those kinds of ecosystems, we're very misled. And the issue being that we live now in such a top-down hierarchical like like infrastructure of everything, that we're just swinging the pendulum in the other direction, obviously. And somewhere in the middle, we have to settle in, because at the end of the day, startups require leadership, they require culture, and they require a due process to be able to ship things out the door. And there's been a handful of projects that have been able to operate open source successfully and had the resources to
Yep.
do so. But even many of those projects, if they are offering bounties, someone's deciding and declaring the value of those and offering them up online. So, man, I might get
I mean,
brave.
look at like Linux or voice over
Right,
IP that have been created and given away as open source, and then the things that have been built on top of that. We have like Skype and
right.
WeChat, and they're centralized. That's fine, but the open source part is the technology they built on top of, which is the
Mhm.
decentralized, open source, free for everyone to use, like Bitcoin's blockchain. But if
Yeah,
you want to see somebody build on top of it, don't expect that entity, that company, to be completely decentralized to where the board of investors don't have a say, or there is no board of
yeah.
directors or anything. They're just a
And
smart contracts won't replace everybody.
right. And maybe the good point too is like there's a big difference between open source and decentralized, right? There was still people at Linux that were being paid by the organization to build, develop, and advance the
But
tech and
then
be
that was
first to
technically a
release it.
DAO, right? Like they were voting
Sure.
on who to
Yep.
pay, and so that was like one of the first kind of like
Super
decentralized
cool.
autonomous organizations, like Linux
Yeah.
team. They were a DAO in a sense.
Yeah. For sure. And even then, there's that collective voting power and there's like decision making. But uh, I think the issue with like VCs and mainstreams is they really think that people don't want to be involved in any of that. I think they just think that people want to be spoon fed the finished product and have it be as simple as
Well,
opening
it's
a bank
it's
account.
accountability too, right? When you're dealing
Yeah,
with somebody or something, you need accountability. If something goes wrong or something fails or doesn't go as
right,
promised, like you can't sue a blockchain. That's like one of the best.
right,
I fucking don't understand how that's not a bumper sticker yet. But you can't sue a
right.
blockchain. You can't sue Bitcoin's
True.
blockchain. Whatever you're doing with your project and that open source shit that you think so fancy, Bitcoin
Right,
core developers are looking at you like, finish that shit. I'll wait. And then they're going to steal it and they're going to incorporate it into Bitcoin's blockchain if it's even worth it. And here's how you know
yeah,
you're really onto some shit. Are Bitcoin core developers stealing your tech? Because if they're not, probably not really worth their time, which means you're probably wasting your own. It's like
right.
really fucking cool, but like that's the pirate error of this Wild West scenario where it's
Uh-huh.
like we're cross pollinating. And it goes a little bit of like, I'm stealing this, I'm stealing that, but you're not stealing because at the end of the day, you're contributing. Again, like there's no spam in the
Right,
blockchain. You're paying for that. You're gonna contribute for taking. So there's a lot of
uh-huh.
energy given for a lot of energy taken. And the
Right,
synergy that comes from it, it's gonna like we're gonna look back at this and just see all the breeding that took place when you look at like one of those maps now of like how much companies Walmart owns, like the umbrellas of like the
right.
monopolies. We're gonna look back at the legacies of these, and we're gonna see like crypto kitties as one of the last foundational layers of 1,000 tree chains up to like the Mortal Kombat and Grand Theft Auto of 29 or of 2029. You know.
Right. What's crazy is that there's so many people who are just advocating to get an advocating aggressively institutions in the blockchain, institutions in the crypto. And then all of a sudden the institutions started to get involved per everyone's request and the exciting developments of tech. And then they're like, well, what about decentralization? And what about
Hey
open
guys,
source?
have you heard about patents? We got
Right.
some of those. We got some of those patents for you. Oh, your project's doing what with that? We patent that shit back in 2009. We patent that. Like that's what's happening because people want
Yeah, of course.
regulations. Good luck now innovating, and that's why I think
Yeah,
a lot more is going to be synonymous. We're going to see people release some open source shit synonymously because it's going to be considered intellectual theft. Piracy of intellectual technologies that have been patented. And if you
right.
use it, even if I do open source and steal it, you're gonna get sued. So it's
Yeah,
fucking counterproductive to beg for institutional approval. To even
right.
want regulations is everything Satoshi would have like laughed at, right? Like,
Yeah,
wait, you want somebody to ask for permission to run a node?
right.
No, not that much regulation, but like no, like that's where it's gonna end up.
Yeah. And it also depends on the blockchain, right? Like some blockchains make sense if they're more centralized and they have that use
Right, that's
case.
the
But
purpose
It's the
exactly.
purpose. But others it doesn't make sense. And so, but and here's the reality is they're all here. Like the institutions, regulations, like we asked for it, now we got it. And now we have to deal with the ramifications of the fact that that's happened. Um, and I think the perspective was right that this was a critical step for mass adoption, but with that comes these mountain size hurdles and issues and barriers that have to be like we can't just build tech. We need fucking money transmitter licenses in every state and every
Yep.
country. We can't just create a solution that's creative and simple. And
Shapeshift would not be here today if they didn't do what they did before. Like, that's the shit
Right.
that blows my mind, right? Like, if Eric Voorhees was worried about everything that had to go through to be what Shapeshift.io is, it wouldn't be here. And that's what, like, you know, people don't understand that now we're never going to see something like this again, which fucking breaks my heart, dude.
Yeah,
Breaks
no, it's
my
a bummer.
fucking heart.
No, it's a bummer. And you know, we may like it because of the beautiful part is we know that this dApps and the gaming and this whole thing is going to spur it forward. We know that this is like a rupture that is going to pop in some direction. Like the steam of this has to be vented or ventilated in some way, and it will happen. Like there will be something else that comes out where it is, you know, anonymous or quiet, open source, or just turning over code into things where it's impossible to patent, and it becomes, you know, this fleeting thing where you can't grab onto it. It's not worth the attorney's time. The lawyers go, oh, I'm not fucking touching that. It's way too complicated.
Yeah, but
And
then we'll have AI lawyers that can quantumly sue you.
hey, you know, you can't say that you're wrong.
There's
there.
going to be a sue you
Oh,
blockchain. I mean, what is that? Legal.zoom? LegalZoom?
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
I could go get a fucking subpoena right now for like $250. Right now.
True.
That would be so easy to sue you. Like $2.
Man, that's true. It'll probably be
plus tax.
blockchain and web crawling code AI that just deep brains everything.
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm gonna sue you for harassment. So it's gonna crawl Twitter for all the times you were mean to me.
Right. Yeah. It's not beyond the case. I mean, like the weird thing is that this stuff has caught on so big with these values when we've had this rise in social justice culture. You know, the sensitivity through social is heightened more than ever. And I think that there's going to be some kind of privacy slash like sensitivity thing that clashes and causes this next rupture. And I think it's going to come back to blockchain based solutions, which is going to bring a lot of the retail and the mainstream enthusiasts back, because we're going to be looking again. I mean, the last big run happened because in part catalyzed because of Facebook's privacy issues. People immediately were wanting something that was built on different values. And I don't think that was the catalyst of that. I think there was a lot of things, but it definitely contributed. It was definitely a part of the conversation. I saw that conversation everywhere. And I think there's going to be that kind of rupture. And then I think it's up to people like you, especially you, because you're a great voice for it, but people like me and other people to maintain and preserve some of the values and make sure that we're empowering developers and projects to keep those values intact as things grow and more of these big players get involved, because it's really fragile. And many projects and many companies are on the verge of losing it because, like I said, in order to grow, we got what we asked for. We got old money, old finance, old regulation to try to take this thing further. But now we have other people that we have to please in order to satisfy the bottom line. And you know, it's up to us to maintain those things and keep them intact, because I don't want to be a part of things that doesn't keep that intact. It doesn't interest me. That's why I came here.
Yep.
And I'm not going to fall for some dark side. I don't care enough about the money. I could give a shit. All I care about is keeping those values intact, because I want to see a better world for the generations that we're building all this for. And I just get really grossed out when I like look at homelessness and uneducation and like lack of
when
food.
you walk into a store and they're throwing food out because it expired, and right down the street somebody's literally hungry and going through the trash.
They're outside in front of the
fucking mind, dude.
They're in front of the grocery store begging for food. What is that? What is that? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. There's a local convenience store, you know, Wawa. Every day they throw food out that expires, and there's a shelter right down the highway. I'm like, this makes no sense.
Makes no sense. Yeah, and I do think that at least with all this technological innovation, we're efficiency obsessed, and that's obviously such a efficiency issue. It just doesn't, you know, the world's, I believe, only going to move towards greater efficiency. I just don't want it to take as long as it is.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, people are
Yeah.
even doing some weird, cool shit. Like we're starting to see. Somebody just said you can create a private key out of emojis. I think I just saw that on Twitter earlier.
Is that right?
Right before we went live, like it was like the last thing I saw on Twitter was like, I just made a private key out of emojis, and I was just like, I gotta look back into that later. But like, yeah, we're getting to the point to where like I'm hoping we're gonna get smart domain names, like you know the .eths. Like I have kenbozak.eth, but I would love to see things like that involved, and I think we're waiting on I guess like RSK or rootstock and other things to be built on top of Bitcoin. But we're getting there. It is happening. It's just slow, and I like to say that a lot of the time
the crypto payment handles, so that it's more socially integrated, is really important.
Well, the one thing Bitcoin doesn't need is money. We got enough money. We just need more time. Like we just need more time, and that's all Bitcoin needs. No more rushing it to the finish line. I think that we're starting to see people kind of pressure get off of pressuring Bitcoin and more so on these other projects that they have invested in, where there is somebody at the end of that ICO. So it's nice to see that Bitcoin has some elbow room. It's like all this room for activities. No one's all eyes off me for a little while because people are looking at Vitalik, and they're looking at Charlie Lee, and they're looking at other people that are kind of like Roger Ver and fucking fake Toshi. Like they're looking at people that put themselves in positions of responsibility to the investors, as opposed to Bitcoin has no responsibility to you at all. It owes you fucking nothing. Bitcoin owes you nothing. If you lost money, it ain't Bitcoin's fault. Bitcoin wasn't there to help you make money. Bitcoin isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get away from government tyranny of financial ruin tool. It's like somebody gives you a hammer, right? And you hit yourself in the head with it enough and die. It's not the guy who invented the hammer's fault. You could have built a house with that hammer. You were just an idiot.
Love that. It's so true. And people, because I got into crypto, people, how's that going for you now? And how's Bitcoin now? And it's like,
how's your bank account going? How's that interest you've been making?
Right?
Have you seen how much gas went up this year? How much did you make? Your bank charged me 30% to get a loan. How much did they give you on that loan's interest? Because it was your money I borrowed. Like, fucking, that's the shit I like to ask.
And like, how much more expensive is every visit you take to the grocery store? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, I actually have a question for you. Before I ask that question, it's just a simple question, but I think it's important that people realize that, like, because Bitcoin owes you nothing, and because Bitcoin is here to do what Bitcoin does, it's not here to create all these other solutions that people are looking for to spur mass adoption, right? So at the same time, if you're a project that wants to create one of those solutions, at this point, it costs money. And you have to get funding, or you have to raise funding. You have to build liquidity on the network. You have to enroll developers and people in the vision, whether it's open source, decentralized, or it's not. And I don't know if people fully understand the pipeline that has to go through to actually reach that solution, ship a product, not only ship a product, but then update the product to keep it relevant and current. And I mean, it's just a process. And so I think it's really healthy to pull those expectations off of Bitcoin and throw it to all the people who decided to take it on, and all the platforms that decided to take it on, and contribute your creativity. Because we run, Ethos was a coin that spiked really hard during the bull market, and like anything else, very excited to ship everything immediately, and we ran into that, like, everything takes time. Everyone was in this inspired vision of possibility, and we were too. And I wasn't even a part of the company at that time, but it was just that was the ethos of crypto.
The blocks of real life move a lot slower than Bitcoin's blocks.
That's right. And so then the reality set in. I don't think people understand what it means to build a crypto project when you have things like Telegram. Like, every single thing is being audited by the community at all times. When you have a good community, you can't get off the hook for anything. Every sentence is seen. There's going to be people in our community who watch every second of this and audit everything I say, and then will post accordingly to let me know and let everyone else know whatever I said. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But it's a different kind of responsibility, and it's healthy. It's good, but it's unique. It's new, never happened before. No one at GE or the oil companies had people 24 hours a day asking questions that expected a response because of the nature of those
Monitoring
programs.
their progress reports and chats and stuff, exactly. And I've seen that with, like, when I first got into the space, I was kind of like confused by the dash report, like the monthly like update that they
Right,
do. I was like, wait, these are the actual guys that fucking built this shit? like
right,
they're like, they let us watch this, like they're fighting and arguing, and like they're making progress, and they're like
right,
bickering about what to work on. Like, this is, I can't believe they're letting people see this. Like, wow, this,
right.
like, and then imagine like a company like, BP Oil or somebody during the oil spills, like what those conversations might have sound like. Like, yeah, there's going to be a different responsibility, a different
Yeah,
appearance of the display of the act on that, right? Like,
right.
how do you even act on that new level of responsibility that hasn't been around enough, long enough, or before to even compare to any end result, right? Like, you can't act like
Never,
that.
never happened
How are
before.
you going to tell me I can't act like that if you don't know how this will end up resulting in 5 years? Like,
Right.
there's no, you can't say I can't. It's like Elon Musk smoking weed on Joe Rogan's podcast, and all the investors
Uh,
saying you can't act like that. Elon Musk says you can't tell me how to act.
right.
You can't
You can't
say.
tell me I can't do something completely legal in a studio. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
and that's where we're starting to see where I think, like, how Vitalik's sort of like maybe too much himself, but I love
Right.
it. We're
I
starting
love
to
it
see
too.
like the
God, I love that
entrepreneurs
guy.
be more themselves, and as Jeff Bezos got more wealthy, we've seen that dude just become more himself.
Right.
He's less of that, like, that guy. It's
Yeah.
pretty
It
crazy.
used to be the opposite. You know what I mean? Like it used to be the like they became more of a drone, more of a puppet, and now it's the opposite.
Freedom.
Yeah, now they're just like, oh, I don't care, and they have so much support of that because of platforms like Joe Rogan, because people will back it up and throw
Oh, did you see
millions of
Jack on
hours.
there? Jack went
Oh
on there
yes,
twice.
dude.
Alex Jones, Dr. Phil. I mean,
Oh my
dude,
god, amazing.
podcast, not
Fantastic.
Fox, not CNN,
Right.
not HBO, none of that shit.
And
Free on
I was
YouTube.
talking to someone the other day that people don't realize that Fox, CNN at prime time would kill to have Joe Rogan's numbers. They can't do those numbers. Not right now. Joe Rogan's numbers for a quality, controversial podcast performs as much as a high performing sports game, like in the playoffs. Like
Oh yeah, he
it's
competes with like Super Bowl. It's insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's insane. It's crazy. And the whole thing that with Twitter and censorship, that was really interesting. I know. Kudos to Jack for getting on there and having the conversation and being willing to deal with that stuff. I don't know. I thought I think that there was issues
I
and a
know
lot of
Jack's
times
thought was just like, I wish I could mute. I can't mute in real life. I can't mute you. Damn it. Just want to mute.
Tim went to town, man. It was great.
He was ready.
He was so ready. I mean, he was sweaty
It
in
was
there,
like,
man.
this dude said kill babies, and you didn't even delete his account. And this guy said, if I was your parents, I would have basically swallowed you. And they were like, that's a threat. And I'm like, but the dude said, like, kill. That's a threat. That's an insult. I don't know if they know what an insult and a threat is over at Twitter.
Yeah, man, it's odd, and like, but yeah, those kinds of privacy, that kind of censorship, you can only hold the basketball underwater so long. And if there's anything that tech culture is showing, is like people are so enthusiastic to be themselves and to express themselves, and then as a result of that, we have all these hypersensitivities. We'll see where that goes.
True
But
that. Well, like, let's. I didn't realize we were
yeah,
at an hour and a half, and
yeah, we've been going really long. So.
dinner is supposed to be this 5 to 6 o'clock moment that I didn't get to eat, so I'm gonna do that now. But
Right.
let people know a little bit, maybe like an elevator pitch with a roadmap sprinkled in of the ethos.io and
Sure.
the investvoyager.com and the partnership and everything, and where to find you and more about the project.
Yeah. So, thanks. Obviously, love where crypto's headed, and I love this community. And so, please come and engage. no matter what. Find me on Twitter at Amateo Raw. You can find me in Telegram at the same. I love engaging with people. Feel free to tag me, at me. I don't care. Ethos, we're a universal wallet company. In the future, if we would like to move into DApp support, because we do really see that being an exciting road ahead. But first and foremost, we needed to get our wallet done, and it's really great. And I invite everyone to check it out. It's a fun and very different experience of a crypto wallet on your phone. It's also really safe and secure. So it works great. It's very reliable. And we have great customer support. And at Voyager, if you're in one of our eligible states, we'll be expanding. And you're on iPhone, we'll be expanding that too. But come trade on the app, see what it's like, fund your account, play around with it. And in the future, we're really working to build an all-in-one, fully integrated crypto solution, from being able to get fiat in, commission-free, fiat gateway, of supporting of multiple different cryptocurrencies, being able to store that safely, and be able to send and receive that in a snap, be able to trade that really efficiently at the best cost across multiple exchanges, be able to maintain self-custody of it as well, and be able to just manage your resources in a really fun, engaging way that's simple and effective. And I think we talked a lot about on ramps here, and I think we've built some really interesting ones that are really easy and user friendly. So there's lots of more work to be done, but check out ethos.io, join us in the Telegram, and same thing with Voyager and Invest Voyager. The companies have now merged, and interestingly enough, Voyager just got listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So it's one of the few public crypto companies in the world.
Congrats.
And yeah, man, thanks. And as a result of the merger, we're one of the only crypto companies in the world that's publicly listed that also has a token, and a wallet, and a blockchain as a service tool. And
Dude,
I think
Canada's
that's really
hella awesome for this. I
oh
think
my God, they're great.
Canada's probably got the most companies that are in that unique little, zone that you're in with that have approved public trading, and also have their own token as well. That's a decentralized cryptocurrency, and I think Canada's leading the way on this. And I'm hopeful that even since like the recent, I feel like I've seen from Peter Todd earlier. It sound like I got to look more into this, that they have maybe resolved the issue with Quadriga. So I got to check into that. But it's good to see that this is all this that's happening. Either they did or didn't with the Quadriga thing. The deal is, it's on their plate, something that they got to deal with now. Right. They can't ignore it anymore. $190 million. So it's like Canada's probably, and I want to call it now, like Babe Ruth pointing out to the stands, the epicenter for cryptocurrency in a first world manner. The U.S. clearly doesn't want to do it. The U.S. is just over-regulating and brain draining, but Canada is really open-armed to this. Quebec, Alberta with mining, Toronto, Vancouver with the developing of the companies. It's just, Canada's just killing it, man. So, congrats with getting listed and all that.
Toronto and Canada in general have an incredible track record of banking and high finance. And in fact, if you look at the track record of Toronto established banks, there's so few that ever went out of business or had issues. So, they really understand money. And they understand economics and how it works. So, I'm
maybe
excited.
Maybe they can work for Wells Fargo a little bit and help them manage their money.
Hey.
All right, man. Where can people find you at again? One last time.
Twitter at Amateo Raw. Same thing on Facebook, Instagram. Same handle at Amateo, AMATEORA. I like to create content on a lot of stuff. I like to do stuff like this and hang out with the homies and just chat and shoot the shit. Ken, you're awesome, man, and I so appreciate what you're doing for the movement. And I really do think you're a voice that is really valuable, and just can't encourage this platform enough. It's awesome.
Appreciate that a lot, man. Thanks for taking the time to come on. And hey, guys, check out the platform ethos.io and investvoyager.com, and leave a comment in the comments box, and let's start a conversation. Let me know what your experiences or your thoughts are, and let's see what we can get going on about this whole merger thing, and see what you guys, the community, think, not just what we think. Let's check the comments and see what you guys think. All right, man. Yeah. Thanks, and guys, don't forget, share this. Share it out there, everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, share it, tag a friend. Don't forget to subscribe, click the alert bell, and have a day.